All right. What do you know about A? If you are going to graph it, what knowledge do you have when it is in that form? What could you do with it? You could FOIL it, and that would get you a trinomial, wouldn't it? It would get you x squared minus 3x. Really? Plus 3x? Really? Pre-calculus 11. Somebody can do binomial expansion, I'm sure. There we go. Then what? Minus 3. If you got to there, then you would have to either complete the square or run it through the quadratic formula or do that negative b over 2a thing, yes? You would have to do one of those things. That's what you know. However, you also know something about this form. You can find the roots here. When you are in factored form, you can always find your roots. And you actually know how to do this already. The roots are the x-intercepts, yes? And they are also called zeros. Why are they called zeros? Because we have talked about this before. What is it about the x-intercept, the roots, that make us want to call it zeros? Y is 0, yes? So, does that not mean this could be rewritten as 0 equals x plus 3, x minus 1 in order to get the roots? Mm-hmm. Sure. So what would it have to be? Negative 3 or positive 1. Okay? So, how do we do that? We remember that the roots are when y equals 0. What else could we write for y? What's the other way we write an output in math class? F of x would also equal 0. It just depends on how it's written. Everybody remembers this, yes? Okay, so what then? On our graph, we have roots at negative 3. 1, 2, 3. We have a root there, and we have a root at 1. Agreed? Okay. That's the first thing this tells us. Can we use that information to find the vertex? Do you think? What is the vertex of a parabola? Don't give me a number. Tell me what it actually is. What is the vertex? Right. It's the point that it starts from, yes? Which means it must be where? It's the highest or lowest point on the y-axis. What is it on the x-axis? It's the middle. So what must be the vertex here? Y negative 1 now. Because it's right in between the roots, right? So that's point 1. You get your roots. Point 2, your vertex must be halfway between the roots. So in this case, what's my vertex? Negative 1 what? Do you know? Do you know what the vertex is? Do you know the y value? Yes or no? No, why? Because it can be anything. We only have an x value, don't we? So since this is an x value, what do I get to do with this equation? Y equals x plus 3, x minus 1, correct? What's going in for x? Negative 1, right? So what is this? What's negative 1 plus 3? And what is negative 1 minus 1? So it's 2 times negative 2. So what's the y value? Negative 4. Where does that go? Right there with the vertex. Everybody with me? So I go to negative 1 and I go down 1, 2, 3, 4. Is everybody cool? Everybody got it? And then, of course, it would look like that. Is everyone okay? Yeah? All right. So, in this one, what are my roots? What are my roots? This is not a trick question. It's negative 3 and positive 1 again. Yes, exactly the same. Agreed? So, negative 3, positive 1. What's my vertex? My vertex x is what? It's the exact same, guys. Negative 2. And what do I do with that negative 2? It goes in here, yes? Right? Now we know that's going to give me negative 4, right? But what does that 2 do? Multiplies it by what, Bryce?
2.
2. So what's my new vertex? Negative 2, negative 8. And that makes sense, doesn't it? Because we have a coefficient at the front, so the graph is stretched this way. Negative 1, negative 8. Same thing. I was looking at the 2. Is everybody cool? Great. So you should be able to do all of these, yeah? There's 4 more to go. Go. Roots first. Everyone can do it, yeah? This one's going to have the same roots. 4 and 6. But it's got a new vertex. It's going to be 0.5. It's going to be 5 and then 1/2. And what direction does the parabola go? Sad one. Why, Joel? Because there's a negative a. Is everyone okay? Okay, now for some reason, this form messes kids up. I don't know why. What are my roots here? what would x have to be? 1. That would be 1 times 0 is one of them. And what's the other one? -2, just like always. So I got a root at 0, and I got a root at -2. Why, Nav? Well, if x is 0, then 0 plus 2 is 2, and that x is 0. 0 times 2 is 0, yes? And if it's -2, -2 plus 2 is 0, yes? So 0 times -2 is 0. Exactly the same as why this one is 4 and 6. Okay? All right. So, where's my vertex x? Halfway between 0 and -2, so it is -1. Where does -1 go now? Y equals -1 times -1 plus 2, which is -1 times +1, which is -1. So where's my vertex? -1, -1. And it must be a happy parabola. Gouda? Great! Now, this is the hardest. You know that x has to equal -4, no problem. -4. What's the other x?
Point.
1/2.
Yeah.
Positive 1/2, yes? So you know the other x is positive 1/2. What's the distance between the two? One and 3/4. So my Vx is going to be halfway between those two. So the easiest way to do that is to do the whole distance, not negative, dummy head, 4.5 divided by 2, right? Yeah? Right? What is 4.5 divided by 2? 2.25, right? And then, so I got to go 2.25 from there, which gives me an x of -1.75. Now, where does that go? Back into the equation, right? You can leave it as a fraction or can you use it as a decimal. I don't care which one you do. You guys are all going to want to use decimals because that's what you feel comfortable with. I would leave this as a fraction, and I would leave that as 1 3/4 being 7/4. And then I would use that. But that's just me. So when you do all that math, what do you find the vertex is? -1 3/4. And what's my y value? I will wait patiently while people calculate. Negative. You can give it to me as a decimal. 10.125. It's 10 and an eighth. So it's way down here. Is everybody good? All right, so now let's put this all into place. The roots occur where each bracket equals 0. So what do I mean by that? X minus P equals 0 and X minus Q equals 0. And you solve for X. Okay? All right. 2. Your vertex x coordinate is always midway between the roots. So the easiest way to solve that is x1 plus x2 divided by 2. Where do you get the x1 and the x2? From right there. Is everybody cool there? Once you have a vertex x value, once you have a Vx, you sub back into original equation to get the vertex y. Everybody cool? Now please be aware that all of these things exist and can be used on any parabola. Because remember, every parabola is the same, right? If you have a parabola in vertex form and you actually expand it out, you get a parabola in standard form. Some of those standard forms can be factored to factor form. All right? When you turn the page over, you will find that everything that you just wrote down is already there for you. Why did I make you write it down? Because it makes you smarter. So, here we go. I want this graphed. In that form, you already know one point right away, don't you? What is the point that you know on this graph right away without doing any work? Anybody. A free gummy bear to somebody who can tell me one point on this graph right away. Y-intercept? The y-intercept. What is it, Bryce? Negative 10. So 0, negative 10 is on the graph.
I wasn't even here for that.
I know, Bryce, but it's pretty common sense, yeah? Because the y-intercept exists where x equals 0.
No.
I'm going to start buying answers from people, because apparently that's what I need to do. What should we do with that? If this was Friday, what would you do with that? How? You would complete the square, you would do the negative b over 2a, right? But now you've got a third way to attack a parabola. What is it? The way we just taught you, which was the factored form, yes? So we should check for factoring, shouldn't we? Does that factor?
Yes.
Of course it does. What is it, Bryce?
It is
X plus 5, x minus 2. Yeah? Now, are we now able to graph this? I got it all right here, don't I? What are the roots? Roots equal negative 5, positive 2. Negative 5, positive 2. Negative 5, positive 2. What do we know about the rest of it now? P plus Q divided by 2 will give me the x value, won't it? Well, what's P? The vertex x is what? What's the vertex x? Negative 5 plus 2 over 2 is what? Negative 3 halves. Lovely. Which means our vertex is somewhere in the middle here. Negative 3 halves, yeah? So what do I do with that?
What was Negative 1.5.
Yeah, negative 1.5. Where does that go?
Negative 1.5 over from 0.
Yeah, here is, where is the axis of symmetry? It's at negative 3/2, yes?
Mm-hmm.
Which is right here. Right? What coordinate is that? Is that an X or a Y? What?
That's what the X.
It's an X coordinate, isn't it? So what do I do with that to find my Y value? Plug it back in. Negative 3/2 plus 5 times negative 3/2 minus 2. What is negative 3/2 plus 5? Positive 7/2. Excellent. What is negative 3/2 minus 2? Negative 7/2, which means my Y value is negative 49/4. Yes? So I go right on this line and I go all the way down to negative 49/4, which is negative 12.25. Which makes good sense because Bryce told us already that this parabola has to go through negative 10, doesn't it? So it looks like this. Is everybody good? Nothing new here. The only thing that is new is putting it on a graph. Otherwise, you have done all of this before. You know how to factor. You know how to find zeros. The only thing different is we're putting it on a graph. And you know how to put equations on a graph from the 10th grade, don't you? Except all the equations were straight lines. Nothing has changed. There is nothing new. So what are we going to do with the next one? You're going to do the same thing, except it doesn't factor as pretty like, does it? So I'm going to shut up and let you guys factor that. Step 1 is factor. You got to remember how to factor those. You can use Peter and Curry and Maggie and Kevin and Marcus and Jungwoo and all those people that use the box method, or you can use the method I showed you. I don't care, but you got to factor that. And when somebody has it factored, it would be really nice if they would say it out loud. X minus 3 and 2x plus 1. Yeah, it's got to be 2x minus 3 and x plus 1, doesn't it? Everybody cool? Let's say you don't remember how to factor it. That's okay. You got a whole whack of factoring practice right in your books in front of you that I bet some of you left blank. So there's plenty of factoring practice that you can get. Now you need the roots. What are they? One of those roots is easy to find. The other one is a little bit more difficult. What are they? Negative 1 and positive 3/2. So negative 1 and positive 3/2. Yes? And we know one other point on this graph. What? 0 and negative 3. We know that one. At 0, negative 3. Now, let's do that. Do this thing. Do I have a vertex x value? Yes, because it's P plus Q, right?
Mm-hmm.
So what is it? Negative 1 plus 3/2 divided by 2, which is what? 1/4. So my x value is 1/4. So I go over to my line, and I know that right here at 1/4 is my axis, yes? My axis of symmetry. What do I do with that 1/4? Plug it in for x. 2 times 1/4 minus 3 times 1/4 plus 1. 2 times 1/4 is a half. A half minus 3 is what? Negative 2 and a half, right? So that is negative 5/2. And what's this? 5/4, which means my vertex is at negative 25 over 8, which is negative 3 and an 8. So I go down to negative 3 and an 8, which makes pretty good sense because it had to be a little bit below the y-intercept. And I get this one. Is everybody cool? Nothing new, yeah? Mm-hmm. Great. You guys do the next 1, 2, 3. Then we'll get back together for the exam style questions, which are 4 and 5. You should be able to do these 2 by yourself. These 3 by yourself, because I gave you 4. Oh, I'm the worst kind of liar. You should be able to do those 4 by yourself. And then the exam style question, I would recommend talking to your neighbor, but we'll come back to that one together. Okay? So I'm going to pause the roots are positive 5 and 3. The vertex is what? 4, negative 1. So it looks like this. 4, negative 1, 5, 3, whoop. Everybody cool? Nobody needs to see why because it's already in your notes. What are the roots here? No. Negative 8 and 2. What's the vertex? X plus 8. Okay. What's the vertex? What's the vertex? Negative 3. Negative 25. I'll just help you out there. Negative 8, positive 2, negative 3, negative 25. Looks like that. And this one. This one's a little bit tricky. I would factor this by taking the negative out right away. That's what I would do. So then you get negative x plus 7 and x minus 3. So my roots are what? This is where it gets a little tricky. Negative 7 and positive 3. They're still my roots. Negative 7, positive 3. So now what's my vertex? Negative 7 plus 3 is negative 4, yes? Mm-hmm. Negative 4 divided by 2 is negative 2, yes? So my vertex is at negative 2, and then I sub that back in, and I get positive 25. So my vertex is here at negative 2, and it's way up here at positive 25. And then I do a sad parabola. Why is it sad? Because there's a negative at A. Is everybody good? Okay. Exam style question. What's weird about that? Well, I kind of meant just this part of it, Joel. What is weird about the equation there?
There's no addition.
There's no C, is there? So if there is no C, that means the y-intercept is 0. Do you think anything else changes? Do things change in math when the looks change? No. Step 1 is still factor. So 2x squared minus 12x. How do you factor that? What's coming out of there? 2x. What's staying in there? X minus 6. So what are my roots? 0 and 6. So what is the x coordinate of A? If you don't care about this stuff, that's fine. I don't care that you don't care. But I would appreciate it if you just sat there not speaking and letting it wash over you and doing nothing with it when I am actually speaking, okay? 3, you understand? All right. If you don't care, just shut up until I'm done talking, then talk. What is the x coordinate of B? 6. Write down the equation of the axis of symmetry. The axis of symmetry is right here. Yes? Directly between the two. What is it?
3.
It's 6 plus 0 divided by 2, which is 3. That's only the x coordinate. What is the equation of the line? X equals 3. That's the actual answer because that's the equation of the line. Everybody cool? And finally, find the vertex. If x is 3, I have f of x equals 2x times x minus 6. X is now 3, so it's 2 times 3 minus 6. 2 times 3 is 6. 3 minus 6 is negative 3. 6 and negative 3 is negative 18. The coordinates of C are 3, negative 18. To find those coordinates. Can everybody work with all 3 forms of a parabola? Yes? All right, so prove it. Do number 5. Number 5 combines stuff from grade 10 and stuff from right now. It's tricky. If you are having problems with how to read that, then I will fix that for you in a moment. No, it is not fog.
That's how I read it too.
It is the f of g. So what do I do with that? Does first of all, does anybody not remember what to do with this? Be honest. If you don't remember how to read function notation, I need to teach it to you again. Does everybody remember what this is?
No.
Okay. All right. So give me a moment. So if I write this, y equals 2x, right? Which of those is input? Which of those is output? Yes, that is input. That is output. Does everyone agree? Yeah, everyone remembers that? Okay. We also know, all right, now, this is saying the f of x equals 2x. Do I have an input right now? Have I given you an input? No. Who chooses what the input is? You do, because it's input, yes? So what number could I put into this? 12 would be fine. So if 12 is my input, then 12 is my x value, yes? And how do I get the output? I put 12 in for x. So it becomes the f of 12 is 2 times 12, because whatever goes there goes in for the x. So my output is what? 24. So the point on the graph is x equals 12, y equals 24, and it's 12, 24 is the coordinates. Is everybody cool? We all remember this now? All right, so let's go back to our notes. And I need the f of g of x. So what do I do with that?
Are you putting the g equation in for x?
I put this becomes my input here. So I need the f of x minus 2. So what is that? X squared, but it's not x anymore. What is it? X minus 2 squared plus 3. I'm sorry, Joel?
Isn't it f and then x plus 3?
X squared plus 3. So this is now what goes in for x. X squared plus 3. You cool?
Yeah.
Everybody cool?
Oh,
Is everybody cool? Going once, going twice, going thrice? All right. Am I done?
No.
That's x minus 4x plus 4 plus 3, isn't it? Right? X squared, which is x squared minus 4x plus 7. Everybody still cool? Everybody still cool? Okay. Now, can I leave it that way? I can, because that's standard form, right? Could I complete the square? Yeah. Could I factor? Yeah. All of those are available to me, okay? Everybody with me? Everyone is good? Okay. So I can leave it that way, or I could complete the square, or. Everybody good? All right. So this is my new function. Now I'm going to use that to find everything else. Question B says what? Write down the coordinates of the vertex of this graph. So if I need the vertex here, what should I do? What finds me the vertex? Pardon? You could complete the square and that would get you the vertex. What else would find me the vertex? Could I do the negative b over 2a thing? Yes. Does it matter which one we do? No. We've done a lot of completing the square, haven't we? So I'm going to use the other one. Everybody cool with that? So the vertex x equals negative b over 2a, yeah? What is negative b? It's negative 4, right? Over 2, what's a? 1. So it's 4 over 2, which is what? 2. So my vertex x equals 2. What do I then have to do with that 2?
Put it back in.
Put it back in. So the f of x is x squared minus 4x plus 7, yes? What goes in for all those x's? 2. 2 squared minus 4 times 2 plus 7. What is that? 4 minus 8 is negative 4 plus 7? 3. So what's the vertex?
Did I just do math right in my head?
Yes. What's the vertex? 2, 3. That was the question, right? Write down the coordinates. No, wait. The graph of function h. There's a third function. Okay? So this is what we have now, correct? Our third function is function h, yes? What do I have to do to function h to that vertex while this reloads? The question tells you what to do. What are we doing? So I have a third function, yes? So that function h of x is going to be, what's the new vertex? X minus 2, but I'm moving it in 5 units in the positive direction. So it was x minus 2. What is it now? It's x plus 3? Or is it x minus 7? Which is it? Why, Joel? You're moving it in the... So right now, if I sketch this guy, the vertex is at 2, 3, yes? 2, 3. I need to move that vertex 5 in the positive direction. Which way is positive? Right or left? Right. So I need to go this way, don't I? So can the new vertex possibly be negative or positive? Which is it? It's got to be positive 7, doesn't it? So what do we write, though? Because remember, the x is reversed, don't they? So it must be x minus 7 squared. Everybody cool with that step? Why that is? Because I moved it this way, so my new vertex has to be positive 7. So positive 7 minus 7 to get 0, right? And what did I do with the y? I moved it 2 in the negative direction, right? So what do I do with y? It was at 2, 3. What is negative 2 on the y?
1.
1. Because the y is the same as the sign. Does everybody remember that? Great. So there's my third function, yeah? Am I allowed to write it in that form? I need it in standard form, don't I? So what do I do with that? Foil it out. That went very well last time. Everybody go ahead and foil. X squared minus 14x plus 49 plus 1. So what is it? X squared minus 14x plus 50. And then question D says, what's the y-intercept of the new function? Plus 50? Yeah, but what's the coordinates of that? 0, 50. Is everybody good? Excellent.
Sort of.
Okay, so I am going to, on page 110, you have everything in one page. Okay? Here's what I want you to do. Your homework is 110, 111, 112, and 113. Here is what I want you to do. On page 110, I want you to write out, no, I don't want to say that. I want you to fill this out with everything you know, okay? Try to leave some space so we can add to it if you miss something. Do you understand what I'm saying? Does everybody understand what I mean? Yeah, what you can do, yeah, it's all in your notes, okay? You're going to do that for all three of them, okay? Please notice I have left you some space in case you fill up the whole box. There is space at the bottom, okay? We'll fill this in tomorrow, and then tomorrow I'm going to ask you for the answers to page 111, 12, 13. None of you will tell me them because everybody who did them is too shy to say it out loud, and everybody who isn't too shy won't have done it. So tomorrow, there won't be anything here. I'll end up putting it on the video, and those who care can mark their own. Just like today, I am going to put up the answers to these pages that nobody bothered to do. Or if you did it, you didn't say anything out loud. Okay? I will put that up on today. So today, 2 videos will go up. One will be today's notes. The second one will be the key to page 104, 105. You can mark it yourself. All right? Your homework tonight, 111, 110, 111, 112, 113. Tomorrow, we'll go through this whole same dance again. I'll ask for the right information from page 111 to 113. No one will give it to me. Tomorrow, there will be 2 videos. All right? Okay.